Hello, this is the 50th lecture on Revelation and World History. We have completed chapters 1 through 6 of Revelation and World History. We have completed the first half of the 12-chapter lecture and are now entering the second half. We have covered several crucial topics in the interpretation of the book of Revelation. We have discovered the true identity of the two beasts that appear in Revelation chapter 13, the seven-headed beast. And we have come to know who the beast with two horns like a lamb is, the one corresponding to 666. We also found a community of 144,000 people. We have also historically verified the relationship between Gog and Magog and Babylon. From this lecture onward, we will examine another important topic, the Battle of Armageddon. In this lecture, we will explore World War II and the Battle of Armageddon. Revelation and World History, Chapter 7, Section 2. World War II and the War of Armageddon. World War II was a war fought in which every corner of the globe became a battlefield. However, this war was waged by Germany and Japan, who then waged war against many other nations. This is the exact opposite of the War of Armageddon, where a global coalition forces attack a single country. However, it is worth examining the details of the war. The following is an overview of World War II. World War II began on September 1, 1939, with the German invasion of Poland. On August 15, 1945, Japan declared its unconditional surrender to the Allied forces, led by the United States, marking the end of the war. 61 countries, home to 80% of the world's population, participated in the war. Military operations were conducted on the territories of 40 countries. During the war, 110 million troops were mobilized, and more than 50 million died. 12 million people were murdered in concentration camps, and 95 million were wounded. 405,000 American citizens and 375,000 British citizens died, with 20 million casualties in the Soviet Union alone. We referred to Alexandrov's modern world history. World War II was an unprecedented war in human history, fought simultaneously across a wide area of the globe. It is a war that began with Germany's invasion of Poland on September 1, 1939. And lasted for 7 years, until Japan's surrender on August 15, 1945. It can be reminiscent of the so-called 7-year tribulation. However, it was not a war that mobilized 200 million soldiers. Although countless lives were lost, it was not a war that killed 1/3 of humanity. Its nature is the opposite of the War of Armageddon, in which the Allied forces attacked one country. However, during World War II, 2/3 of the Jewish people in Europe were massacred. This should be examined in comparison with the passage in Zechariah chapter 13 verse 8. 2/3 of the people on the face of the whole earth will perish, but 1/3 will remain. It is said that Hitler perpetrated a genocide to exterminate Jews across Europe, killing 6 million people. This is known as the Holocaust. 165,000 German Jews and 65,000 Austrian Jews perished. More than 32,000 French Jews and 100,000 Belgian Jews perished. More than 140,000 Czechoslovakian Jews and 500,000 Hungarian Jews perished. 2.2 million Soviet Jews and 2.7 million Polish Jews perished. More than 200,000 died in the pogroms and massacres in Romania and Transylvania. Furthermore, the Jews who were forcibly deported and murdered from Albania, Norway, Denmark, Italy, Luxembourg, and Bulgaria must be added to the list. All these people lost their precious lives under the banner of Nazi racial ideology, which the German people directly or indirectly proclaimed, complied with, and followed. We refer to Wolfgang Benz's The Holocaust. This situation is so similar to the prophecy that 2/3 of the whole land will be destroyed, that one might at first think it is a fulfillment of prophecy. However, this historical event does not correspond to the situation in which foreign nations invaded Israel. Furthermore, Zechariah chapter 14 verse 3 states, "He will fight as in the day of battle." But the Holocaust did not occur in a war between Israel and other nations. The Holocaust, a one-sided act of genocide, perpetrated by Hitler and the Nazis, is inconsistent with the circumstances described in the prophetic text. Nevertheless, the slaughter of 2/3 of Europe's Jews is undoubtedly a significant event that must be deeply considered when interpreting the prophecy in this text. We must examine the historical context to determine the differences between what the prophetic text says and how people interpret it. The word Armageddon appears in Revelation chapter 16 verse 16. The word Armageddon refers to Mount Megiddo, or the hill of Megiddo. Zechariah chapter 12 verse 11 describes the mourning in the valley of Megiddo. This passage describes a war in which a coalition of nations from around the world attacks a single nation, Israel. Therefore, looking for a war in which a world coalition attacks a country is a shortcut to getting closer to the reality of the War of Armageddon. In the next lecture, we will explore Chapter 7 Section 2, A Third of Humanity Dies, in Revelation and World History. It was the Bible History School. If you subscribe and set up notifications, you can continue listening to the lectures on Revelation and world history.